Is that better?
Amazing.
There we go.
Hello, everyone. I
Hello.
have a wonderful person. Stephan is going to be talking to you. He's going to tell you who he is, what his credentials are, and why are we talking about ionizing radiation. Stephan?
Hello, ma'am. I'm president of a company which is called Nexus Environmental Corporation. Our website is WTSenates at mail. .info. WTSenates.info. Now, I've been asked to talk about a little bit about ionizing radiation, the effects on the body, and how this is going to come to affect, and is it coming to affect people's healths. As a result of Fukushima, and as a result of the challenges now which exist relative to a number of nuclear reactors around the world, and I mean it's happening everywhere.
It's happening everywhere.
Everywhere.
And most people don't know. Even from the Earth, we have so much ionizing radiation.
Correct.
That is happening everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay. And so as a result of Fukushima and all of the other reactors and so on, we have an effect which is coming from ionizing radiation, which essentially breaks down the body in a number of interesting ways, including free radicals, the breakdown of the organs, and also with regards to its effect on creating other conditions in the body which are ripe for cancer, and a number of things which unfortunately affect things such as pregnant women,
is that not
infant
sad?
Mortality, and of course all the kinds of things relative to death, sadly. Now, it's very sad. Now, the idea here is that what does one do with regards to how one deals with this particular problem on an ongoing basis? People should first of all be very sensitive both to the water that they drink,
yes,
and also with regards to the food that they eat, in that I would highly recommend, and I'm sorry to put this out there, but I wouldn't exactly be a big sushi fan right now.
I know.
The fish and the seafood, which happens to be being caught today in the Pacific Ocean, is not exactly as safe as it once was. We'll leave it at that. And unfortunately, as the fish stocks, and a good example of the deterioration of the fish stocks comes as to what happened in the last salmon run. And they're now starting to open up the fish to find out canker sores, cancers, and a bunch of other things which are happening.
Wow.
Now, what you have to do is only go and talk to the people in the Pacific Northwest relative to the native Aboriginal groups who watch the salmon stock runs every year. And they're starting to see, unfortunately, some very sad conditions and a diminishment of the amount of salmon that they can catch, along with the overall condition of the fish themselves and their health, because their health affects our health. And while, sorry, Leonard, with regards to you, Mr. DiCaprio, and all their kerfuffle with regards to what's going on with CO2, guess what, kids? That is not the biggest existential threat to mankind.
I know.
As much as they'd like to paint it as such in their little tax system with green credits, carbon credits, and the like, the reality is that the biggest existential threat to us today is radiation poisoning. And
It is really, and more people need to be aware of this because it's happening everywhere.
They do.
It's happening everywhere.
We're in a desperate situation in terms of ensuring that in fact we start to deal with those particular effects. And yet, over 5 years now, we've allowed Fukushima, all the radiation that's escaped into the Pacific and into the atmosphere continues to go on day by day by day.
I know.
And we're starting to see very serious effects from this. Now, I would point the viewer to a little report that we did with regards to something that's happening with the caribou. Now, usually when they talk about, for example, the diminishment of the atmosphere and, of course, of the ozone, it starts to evidence itself over the poles first.
Absolutely.
Now, what happens is an interesting fact out there, and a fact, kids, that the caribou herds in the north are now, and whether it's Russia, Canada, wherever, are down by as much as 57%.
Wow.
There are pictures out there you can go and look at which show entire herds of caribou that are dropped dead right in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
And our own people are starting to believe that these are happening as a result of gamma ray bursts because the amount of actual air, atmosphere over the poles is starting to diminish in a significant way. And these gamma ray bursts are killing these caribou like a lightning strike, and they just drop dead wherever they are, and boom, they're dead on the ground. And this is happening. Now we're starting to see infant mortality rates and a number of things take place. The fish is less safe to eat. And of course, we see this other little effect from the reactors themselves, and that's called nuclear embrittlement. There was a guy by the name of a Dr. Wigner, and there's some famous pictures of him on the net, standing beside John F. Kennedy. Now, at the time that the Cuban Missile Crisis took place, he sought out Wigner and said, okay, well, tell me give me the straight goods. What's going to happen if we have this kind of a nuclear exchange? And he told the president at that point in time, that's the worst thing you want to see happen, and explained why, and explained this effect relative to nuclear embrittlement. The only problem is we originally thought it was only happening with various metals. The problem is it's happening with lots of things, including cement and containment fields for the reactors themselves. And this stuff is starting to kill us faster than we know what to do with. And so we've got to be sensitized. We've got to be careful with regards to what's going on with all of this. Because at the end of the day, if we're not,
we're gone. We're gone.
Well, let's just say that a lot of humanity isn't going to be here 10 or 20 years from now.
And then the suffering more so than anything else.
Cancer,
I mean, if we die, it's fine, but we're going to have pain, we're going to have suffering, we're going to have higher rates of cancer, infant mortality, autism, depression, neurodegenerations. So really, it's the pain. We do not want to suffer the pain. So what is it that you are recommending?
Well, there's a couple of products. One that they can contact me on is something called Folium PX. It was designed specifically for the Chernobyl disaster that had taken place. Excuse me. That particular product is made completely naturally, and it helps to remove heavy metals, because one of the things with ionizing radiation, it stops the body's ability to remove heavy metals. So heavy metals are important with regards to watching what happens to your body that way. And Folium PX is one of the things that we highly recommend. It's completely natural, and it's had great success. The product is sold in 30 countries around the world and 6 continents, has years and years of study behind it, and it has a phenomenal...
Can I offer this to my patients in my clinic?
Absolutely. Completely natural, the best thing you're ever going to run into.
So how can I get in touch with... you going to help me get started with you?
100%. We'll help you with regards to getting those done. And then if they'd like to contact me, excuse me, I'm at WT Senate. It's WTSENATE at mail.com.
Okay.
And we'll be happy to take care of the folks with regards to getting access to that in terms of being able to start to fight the effects of ionizing radiation.
Now, you have another system. What is that?
Well, Nexus also works through an organization called Hollywood Health and Hope with regards to a Dr. Sandra Rose Michaels system, and it's electromagnetic therapy, which provides or produces, if you will, a polymorphic field, which helps with regards to the repair of the RNA, the DNA, and the chromosome damage that can take place from ionizing radiation. And Dr. Michael is a world-renowned healer, and her site is eesystem.com, and folks can go there and take a look at her particular system.
You know, she happened to be a friend of mine.
Absolutely.
And I love her, and she really has a heart for this. We have to work together to really stop this disaster. That's devastating.
It is, and the beautiful thing about that is that it's not overly and overtly expensive. People can get access to these systems, and then it'll help with regards to the effect of all the new cancers and all of the other effects that ionizing radiation poisons the body with.
So we're really repairing RNA and DNA.
We are.
And repairing the whole system in order for us to really make less.
We are. One of the things that I get a big kick out of, and the listener, the viewer, can go off and check. In one of the original Star Trek movies, there is, in fact, a time when they came back to Earth. And interestingly enough, Spock and the boys end up on a bus in San Francisco. Now, as it turns out, as a result of them trying to secure some nuclear particles, specifically from one of the U.S. aircraft carriers, Chekhov gets caught.
Yeah.
And so they ship him off, and of course Uhura is monitoring all the communications with regards to what's going on.
Yep.
Okay. And what's happening is poor McCoy is going crazy, talking about the fact these are barbarians, and they're going to open them up, and all the things that we know about the potential for healing the human body is better and is more sophisticated than cutting somebody open.
Yep.
And that's the deal with regards to what we're talking about.
We love you all, Stephan.
Take care of
Stephan,
yourselves.
I
It is.
really appreciate you so much for sharing that amazing information. Listen, wait for more. I promise you I'll bring you the best of the best of the best of the best.
Take
Bye.
care, all.